we're going to now talk about the domain and range of relations. So the domain is the set of all of the input values, and so that would of course be our x values in a function or relation. The range of a relation is the set of all output or y values. So using our data set, my domain would be 2, 2, 3, and 4. But again, I would not write that 2 twice, so I would write the domain as the set of 2, 3, and 4. And my range is all of the y values, which would be 4, 5, 5, and 6. Again, I only write the 5 once. So here we're going to find the domain and range of this relation. Looks like I forgot a comma or parenthesis. The domain, and again we would typically write this from least to greatest, the domain would be 41.8, 45.5, 46, 48.2, and 50.4. The range would be 62.2. Sorry, that was horrible. 62.2, 65.5, 66, 68, and 70. That would be my domain and range. This is now a mapping. The domain of the mapping would be all of the x values, so -7, 2, and 3. The range would be all of the y values, and there appear to only be one y value. Here's our table again to find the domain. It would be all of the x values, so my domain in this case would not be numbers. It would be Alabama, California, Colorado, Florida, and Kansas. And my range would be 4, 7, 7 again, but I only write it once, 25, and 53. The domain and range of this, again, we're looking at the values of our ordered pair. So the domain would be -2, -1, because there's a value at -2 on the x, there's a value at -1 on the x, 0, because there's a value at 0 on the x, 1, because there's a value at 1 on the x, and 2, because there's a value at 2 on the x. The range, I would do the same way. I'm looking at the y values. So there appears to be one at -3. There's actually 2 at -3 on the y. There's 2 at 0 on the y, and there's 2 at 1 on the y. If it helps, you can certainly write out what all 5 of those points are, but for the x's, I'm looking at anything that has a value this way, which is where I got those 5 values. For the y's, I'm looking for anything that has a value in this direction, which is why I had 3. This is a little bit more complicated because now this is more continuous. So looking at the x values, I've got x values from here all the way to here. So my domain, I'm actually, instead of writing it in set notation because this is continuous, I'm going to write it in interval notation. So it goes from -8 all the way to 8 and including all of the values in between. So from -8 to +8, including those values. My range looks to go from -5 up to +5 and including all of the values in between because, again, there's a value everywhere in between here, and on this one there's a line everywhere in between here. So that would be from -5 to +5 inclusive. Here's a couple for you to try, so press play once you're done to see how you did. The domain of the mapping would be -5, 2, and 4. The range of the mapping would be 0, 8, 15, and 16. The domain of the graph would be -4, 0, 1, and 4, because those are all of the x values that have a point beneath them. The range would be -5, -3, 1, 2, and 4.